everybody, it's Christina. Welcome back to the channel. I have been in a DIY crafty Christmas mode and wanting to do some handmade stuff this year for Christmas. But one of the things I'm currently working on is decorating my craft room, which is something I normally don't do. I usually put maybe one or two things, but I finished this a couple of weeks ago and I really want to get it on display. So I want to make it into a fully finished project. I already went ahead and stained the frame that I'm going to be using for this. So I'll insert a clip of that right now so you could see what I did. I just have a frame that I got pretty cheaply at Joann's and sanded it down and then stained it. And yes, I did that without gloves because I didn't have any on hand, but I did also do it in my craft room, and I opened the windows while I was doing that. It's 20 some degrees outside today and snowy, and I just was not feeling like I wanted to spend time outside to stain that frame. So it didn't take too long. I still have my window open just to kind of keep the room, air circulating in the room. And we are going to go ahead and put this together. So I have this pattern right here. This is a cross stitch I just got done doing, and it is by Primrose Cottage, I believe. If I'm wrong, I will put it on the screen. And I had so much fun putting this together. Now, the example they show is done as an ornament, but I found that frame and I thought the frame was going to be perfect size for this, and that is what I'm going to do. I have some black velvet here. I thought that would be really pretty as a background, and then I have a couple pieces of greenery that I found inside of one of my Christmas bins that I thought I could put right at the top of this, as well as some red velvet ribbon. We are first going to need to get this all started. Now this velvet here sheds like crazy, so I want to get this dealt with first, but the first thing I need to do is give this an iron. I do have my little wool ironing pad here, and I'm just going to use my heat press from Cricut just to give this a little bit of an iron. It didn't get terribly wrinkled, but it didn't take me too long to get this done, and I just want to give this a good iron just to get out all the wrinkles. I'm going to flip it over and do the back side on my stitching area, and don't mind, I am a messy stitcher. I know some people are super neat on the backs of their cross stitch projects, but I am not one of those people. I just like to work on the project and I don't pay attention to what I'm doing as long as all my stitches are going in the same direction. That's all I care about. So we're just going to make sure that's nice and ironed and nice and flat, and I'm going to give this a little bit more of a ironing over the top. I didn't want to go over too much of the thread because that is, especially this black one right here, is a dyed thread, and I didn't want any of the color to bleed. So I just been super careful with that. So we're just going to set this aside because I am not going to use this again until it's time to put this together. And I'm just going to turn off my little press there. You only use that press to make it easy for doing it right here at my craft table. Normally I would just take this where I have my iron, and I didn't feel like bringing my iron all the way over here and plugging it in. So there we go. So this is pretty ready. I'm going to set this aside, and this is my frame. I do have a couple pieces of scrap of the backing board, and I think I'm going to use this piece right here. And let's see if we can figure out what this measures. This is about, looks to be close to 5 3/4. Yeah, about 5 3/4. And this is a 5x7. Now the 5 inches is perfect for the design. And I just want to double check to make sure if I cut this at 5 inches that I would have enough space on either side. I might be cutting it too close. I may have to grab a different board, but my design here is almost square. So it is exactly 5 inches. So I am going to, well, it's a little less than 5 inches, but I think I'm going to play it safe. Depends on where you put this. So if I go from the longest side, it's about 4 3/4. Will that cover? I'm worried I'm going to be cutting it close. It only gave me about 1/4 of an inch on all sides. Let's see from top to bottom, highest point. You know, I think I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to leave it at 5 inches. So I'm going to cut this piece down to make it a 5x5. So we have our 5 3/4 and then 5-inch piece that will be our mat. So we are going to quickly just take this out of the way. And then I have my piece of black velvet. Now I don't want to do anything special. All I'm going to do is just put this onto this backing board, which one side of it's sticky, and we're going to peel off the backing, which this particular board, I have a terrible time getting the side off that is the coating. Maybe I'm on the wrong side. That might be the problem. Yeah, I was on the wrong side. All right, so we're just going to peel this backing off, and I'm just going to put this on top of, all right, so we're just going to set this right on top. I want to leave a little bit of space so I can kind of flip my corners over, and because it's sticky, I don't have to really do anything else other than just put that down. Now I'm going to need a little bit of lint roller to get all the fuzzies off of here, but let's cut this off, and then we will go ahead and put this around the backing. One of the things I asked for Christmas was a good pair of scissors for fabric, because I have just my card making scissors. Although these are fantastic still for fabric, but I really don't want to be using the same scissors for card making that end up with glue and sticky stuff all over them onto any of my more fabric pieces. So we're gonna set this aside. We'll put this away later. And then what I'm going to do is just go ahead and tape this piece down on the back of this board. So I'm just going to make this really simple. I don't want anything too bulky for the back piece. And we're just going to get that all taped down. I'm just going to use tape that is specifically designed for cross stitching. However, you can use hot glue if you want to. Anything like that. It's just, I didn't want to make a mess with hot glue and make it too bulky on the back. I'm hoping the tape will kind of keep it so that it is just a little bit flatter. I'm going to peel off the backing, and I think what I'm going to do is just, well, I'll grab it from the side and bring it over just like that. Now, one of the things I probably should have done was done a little cut on the side. Well, we might be able to get away. We are going to try to get away with not adding too much bulk, because this is a pretty thin piece. Let's see what that looks like if I go with that method. That would be pretty good. So what I'm going to do is add another piece of tape in here. I'm just going to pull that piece back. I'm going to add tape right here. This stuff is it tear? No, it doesn't tear. Okay, this stuff is super sticky. So what I'm going to do is first bring my corner pieces down onto the sticky, and then I'm going to have to come back and probably put a little bit of tape into that area. I'm going to do this on this side too before I do that, and then we can fold this over. And I am going to hot glue this down, so I'm thinking you could probably just hot glue these corners a little bit. I don't know if this is a good method for this, but we're going to give it a whirl and see if it works. Okay, probably didn't do my best, but it looks pretty good. I'm okay with the corners. That's the only thing I worry about, are what the corners look like. And I think the corners came out okay. A lot of them are going to get pinched in when I adhere this down to my board, which I'm just going to do that with hot glue and see, make sure that holds in place. All right, so I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to work on the cross stitch piece, which always makes me nervous because I'm always afraid I'm going to mess things up. So I know this is 5 inches, so I am going to cut this also at 5 inches. So I'm just going to take my ruler, put a little mark here for 5 inches. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then I'll draw a line. And I know that needs to be my cut line. Now the hard part is I don't think my trimmer will cut this, but we're going to give it a try. Now I have this gigantic trimmer that I keep in my cabinet, and I only bring it out when I'm doing something like multiple cuts of things, but I haven't really been using it that much. But we're gonna see if we can use this to, I guess I didn't need to go through all of the measuring part of that. I was thinking about scissors, and then I remembered this board. So we're gonna try to cut this with my Fiskars here. Ooh, that is pretty tough, but I did get it, so that's pretty good. So the next thing I want to do is cut some batting. So this is a piece of batting that's just folded in half. I actually had it cut down for something else, and I never ended up using it. So I am going to cut this down. I'm going to cut it so it's just about a quarter of an inch bigger than my 5-inch piece. So I am going to just take my rotary and make this a pretty straight cut. I did go ahead and switch out my mat, so I'm using a self-healing mat rather than my glass mat, because I don't want to add any kind of extra marks to it. And this is we're going to measure this out to 5 1/4. Maybe we'll do 5 1/2 just to be safe. So 5 1/2 would take us, oops, I can never get this right. So 5 1/2 take us to just about there. And because that ruler is too small, I'm bringing in my handy dandy Tim Holtz ruler. And we can use this as our guide with our rotary trimmer. And then we will cut off this piece right here. That's my fold piece, so I just need to get rid of that. And then we're going to take our smaller ruler, for the 5 1/2-inch mark. Let's do it this way. So 5 1/2-inch. This is probably, I'm very new at this kind of stuff, so I am doing it the way my brain is telling me would work. So if it's not right, it's okay. I'm just doing this to also get some practice. And okay, so we have those two pieces cut. I have my press board right here, and then I have my project, which will be this piece right here. So I'm using the backing just to kind of give it a little bit of a, so it stands up and off the mat a little bit. And then we are going to cut this down as well. This is the part that scares me. I get nervous when I start cutting down any of my projects. I'm going to give myself probably maybe 3/4 of an inch. No, let's play it safe. Let's go an inch. We can cut it down further if we need to, but I need to play it safe. So I'm going to go an inch. We're just going to cut an inch from each side of this board or this pattern. Okay, to this side now, so we're just going to do an inch from the bottom. Okay, that is good. It still makes me so nervous. Okay, so I'm just going to peel off the backing on this. So I'm going to put one piece of my batting down. And then the other one, pretty much if I put the rough side down, is pretty much going to hold in place. And I don't have to really worry about it. If you're not comfortable with that, you can always put a little spray adhesive in there. Okay, so this is then going to go right on the top of those two pieces of batting. Now, the decision is, Am I going to lace them in place or lace this down? Which, if I wanted to, I probably should have left this a little bit bigger, because as I look at the back, it didn't really give myself too much room for that kind of thing. So I might just come through with the tape that I used like I did on the other piece and put tape on there to hold this into place. And then I could always add a little extra security with some hot glue. I'm going to do that off camera because I'm not 100% sure know what I'm doing. So we're just going to kind of figure that out. Actually, maybe putting it this way. This way. Not straight at all. Yeah, I'm gonna off camera do this because I'm not really 100% sure I know what I'm doing and how I'm gonna hear this down. So I will be back. All right, I have that done. It was a little tricky. I actually mounted something not too long ago, and I did it with the lacing technique and that worked out really well, but this I had difficult with. So I think in the future I need to make sure I leave more fabric so that I can lace, because I did not enjoy using the double-sided tape whatsoever. All right, we're going to put this together. So I have my board here. I have my black felt piece that I'm going to mount to my board. And with that, I'm just going to use my hot glue gun. All right, so I'm going to center this right onto the board. And there's already, even though I already got all of the fuzzies off with my lint roller, there is definitely more fuzzies on there. So I'm just going to give this one more roll, especially around the edges. I'm not going to worry too much about the inside because that is going to end up getting covered with my piece. So this is going to mount right to the center of that. And when I did this, I was not too concerned about up here because that is going to end up getting covered. And I could see that this is popping off down here a little bit. So I'm just going to add, there's actually some glue dripping. So I'm going to add that right onto there and hold this into place just to get that corner piece down better. All right, so this piece is going to get mounted, or this board is going to get mounted to my velvet piece. So we're going to add some hot glue to this piece, especially getting close to those edges. And then I'll add some more just to the centers just to keep it so I know that I'm secure, and that'll get mounted right to the center of that velvet piece, just like that. There we go. Not too bad. It's not perfectly centered. It is even on the bottom and the sides here, but I'm not too worried about the top because I'm going to actually just cover that in a second. We're going to decorate this up. But like I said, this is for my craft room. I am going to be using these two pieces of greenery here, and I don't know where they came from. They were in the bottom of a bin when I was decorating for the holidays, and I think that maybe it probably came off of something. So I am going to use those on my project here. I'm just going to cut off these two little round pieces, and they are going to get mounted with some hot glue right at the top here. And like I said, I wasn't worried about that being a little uneven because I am going to kind of cover that up. So I am going to figure out where I want these placed. I want them right in the center, and just like that. And we're going to add a little bit of hot glue. And I'll just hold that into place while it is drying. I just want to grab something to kind of help push down. I'm going to get this other side and do the same thing. We're just going to add a little bead of glue. Which I'm going to have strings all over the place of glue. Now I'm leaving a little bit of a gap in the middle because I am going to also add a bow to this. All right, we're just gonna let these dry. I have this big roll of this red velvet ribbon, which is about 1/4 of an inch, and I am going to attempt to make a bow. The hard part is because of the backside being a flat finish where we have the velvet on the other side. We're going to see if we can make a bow. Now I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to try it with the what I call the bunny ear method, which is how, we teach our kids sometimes to tie their shoes. And we're going to try it that way and see if I can get this all situated. So we're going to just start that tie. I'm going to pull some of this through. And then what I'm going to do is going to attempt to flip this over so we don't have the flat finish. We have the velvety finish. And we're going to give it a little tighten. So we're going to have to play with this a little bit to get it so it lays in the right position, but I think that is pretty good. Now I'm going to, this side over here needs a little bit of a turn. There we go. I think we got it. Not easy getting it so that all of the right sides are facing out when you're using something that's double-sided or has, different texture on either side. So I think that is good. Let's see how we are with size. Oh, I think that is going to be adorable. Okay. We are going to trim this off. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. I'll come back and trim it as soon as I get this on here. So I'm going to add a nice dollop of glue right to the center of these little greens. And we are going to take our bow, and I'm just going to use my little pick here and just hold that into place and let it dry. I don't want my tails to hang down in front of my cross stitching. So we're just gonna, well, that didn't work. That popped right up. The glue wasn't dry. Okay, hold it longer. We're gonna hold it just a little bit longer. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna do is just trim the tails. I wanna trim them at an angle. So they're just about the same length. And there is my finished project. I will show you on the back. There is a string on this to hang it on the wall. I know right now I'm not going to hang it on the wall. I'm going to put it on display here in my craft room. So what I do is I just taped it down so that it's here, that if I change my mind and I want to hang it up, I can. But that is my finished project, and I absolutely love the way it turned out. I had so much fun stitching this project, and it took me probably about a week to get it done. If even that, I only worked on it for, maybe half an hour to an hour every night for a couple of days. And I love this project. And I had it sitting here in my crafty space. It needed to get put together as a fully finished project so that I could display it here in my craft room. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.